Chris Gunness is a former UNRWA spokesman and joins us now from London. Chris, UNRWA is sadly no stranger to its workers being targeted and killed by Israeli attacks in this war.
Indeed, over 170 UNRWA workers have died. And to be clear about what happened with the World Central Kitchen staff, this was a deliberate, calculated, premeditated massacre of innocent humanitarian workers. The Israeli army had been told of the exact route. In fact, they helped establish the exact route that these workers were driving along. The convoy itself had been coordinated with the Israeli army. They knew the exact GPS coordinates, inch by inch, of the route that these workers were traveling along. And what we saw is not one, not two, but three deliberate attacks, or so it appears. And I hope that these attacks are investigated and that there is a full and transparent investigation, not by the IDF, not by the Israeli army, because for years we've seen attacks on humanitarian workers in Gaza, not just UNRWA, UN workers, but others, and we've never seen any proper individual criminal liability, accountability for these attacks. And I hope that the World Central Kitchen will press with its contacts in Washington, because the world is revolted by this. And as I say, 170 plus UNRWA workers have been killed. There must be full accountability for their killing also. For too long, the Israeli army has got off scot-free with these massacres, and I use the word massacres advisedly, of humanitarian workers.
Chris, you say the world is repulsed by this attack, but where is the outrage? Where is the action being taken against Israel?
Well, let's talk about the International Court of Justice, and let's talk about the Security Council, whose response has been wholly inadequate. At the ICJ, what we've seen is Israel told that it's committing a plausible genocide. Here is the people, the nation, the country against whom a Holocaust was committed, accused of a genocide against a population which it has put in a ghetto, the world's largest prison camp, as David Cameron, the current British Foreign Secretary, when he was Prime Minister, once described it. So let's hope that the ICJ will move towards accountability. That is something which is new. It wasn't the case in 2014 when I was the UNRWA spokesperson. And let's see what the Security Council will do, because things are changing. There wasn't an American veto. And of course, America is supplying $3.8 billion per year of weaponry that's being used for these massacres of workers. And we would like to think that America is coming to its senses, that there will be some kind of effort within the Biden administration, given the huge pressure that we're now seeing from the American Arab community for a change of policy. And I think that's also true of the American Jewish community. So let's not write off accountability quite yet, but I can understand why there would be huge, huge cynicism across the Arab street, because nothing really meaningful has happened whatsoever.
Let's look a bit more at World Central Kitchen. This is an organisation that we believe coordinated closely with the Israelis, insofar as it was also bringing aid to Gaza by sea with ships from Cyprus. It involved the building of a jetty. It involved distribution of aid from the boats across northern Gaza. If this is an organisation that has been attacked, having had that close coordination with the Israelis, what does it mean for other aid organisations in Gaza?
That's a very, very good question, because I think what we're now seeing is a deliberate attempt to make clear to the world that the genocide is going to happen, that if this organisation, which was so closely coordinating with the Israeli authorities, is going to be deliberately attacked, not once, not twice, but 3 times. And of course, it called off and has suspended its delivery of food. And with each of those boats coming in, we're seeing 500,000 meals delivered to 300,000 people who are facing starvation in northern Gaza. It seems to me that that's a very clear signal to the world, as if it was needed, that Israel is committed to the genocidal project. It is de-developing Gaza. It's destroying Gaza. All the universities destroyed, schools hit, cultural centres hit. And of course, Netanyahu and Yoav Gallant, the defense minister, and Yitzhak Herzog, the president, have made it clear in their public statements they intend to commit genocide. And that's what we're seeing. And this attack on these aid workers today, this tragic massacre, this deliberate, calculated, premeditated attack, not once, not twice, 3 times on these workers. That is part of the genocidal, the project that has been made clear by these Israeli leaders.
Chris, we're hearing that the second largest aid organisation, humanitarian organisation after UNRWA inside Gaza, UNRWA, is going to be suspending its operations after threats, it says, of attacks, and obviously attacks on the World Central Kitchen and other aid workers. What do you know about this, and what impact is it having on the people of Gaza?
Well, for the people of Gaza, let me be clear, there are 300,000 people in an IDP camp, internally displaced people camp in the north, and there are 1.4, 1.5 million in Rafah. They are starving to death as we speak, despite the propaganda that's being put out by Israel and its propaganda machinery. And what we had, and here's a breaking news story for you. Today, the IDF, the Israeli army, blocked an entire UN convoy from going to the north. And that's because the World Food Programme has made it clear that it will not do food distributions in a way which undermines UNRWA in any way. What the Israelis were trying to do was say to the World Food Programme, you come and do food distributions, we'll block UNRWA. Well, today there was a coordination meeting and the World Food Programme and other UN agencies made it clear that if there's no UNRWA, there's no convoy. If there's no UNRWA going to meetings, then there is no meeting. And that's an advance, but what it's meant is that the Israelis have now blocked an entire UN convoy going to the north. So within hours of this attack, this massacre of these innocent humanitarian workers, the Israelis have now blocked an entire UN convoy. I hope this is referred to the International Court of Justice as further evidence that a plausible genocide is being perpetrated by the country for whom the word genocide was created. And that is an outrage, which should be a cause for international outrage. And I hope things will start to change, because 2.3 million people today are facing starvation in Gaza. It's an outrage and it must end soon.
Chris Gunness, former spokesman for UNRWA, thanks very much for talking to Al Jazeera.